the sight of a snake make you cringe, or are you a little bit nervous around reptiles? Is your child ready to be a pet owner? Well, today we have something really, really exciting, and we have Nonie from Nonies Ark, and she's going to tell you all about animals and how to know what pets are good for your child. Hi, I'm Valerie, and you're watching Insight. Well, hello, Nonie. I'm so excited. I love animals. I just love them. Ever since I was little, I was always excited about them, but it was kind of a bummer because my mom was allergic to them. But she's not allergic to birds, and I do have them. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay. My name is Nonie. My business is Nonies Ark, Animal Encounters. I collect people's unwanted exotic pets, and I bring them to birthday parties, classrooms, even elderly homes, anywhere anybody is interested in learning about my critters. And I teach about what makes a good pet, what makes a bad pet, and where they come from naturally, and where I got them from.
Well, that's cool. I like how you said that you want to educate people on what makes a good pet and what doesn't make a good pet and stuff like that. So what is your main goals in your business, and what do you like doing?
Yeah, the main goal is to teach people and make sure that they are, first of all, purchasing the right pets for them and their family for the lifespan of the animal and for the lifespan of the children and the family, and that the animal is cared for the best it can be. And also wild animals. I like to be sure that people aren't taking animals from the wild. So if you want to protect animals, then we need to be really choosy about who we get them from.
Well, that's interesting when you're talking about the wild animals and stuff. So do you also educate people on what wild animals are in our area and what to do and what not to do?
I do. I get the chance to teach other educators and facilitate them in environmental education programs, from snakes to birds to trees to bears. So that is a very good community bonus too, is that I can help bring the biologist aspect to everyday people.
Right, I like how, I'm pretty sure people's ears went up when you mentioned about the bears, because I know in certain areas that's a big thing. And I remember coming over to the Science Center, and you talked to me a little bit briefly. Could you talk to me briefly on about a little bit about bears and what people should do if they do encounter one?
Right. Now, we do have a very large natural space right here in our backyard, and the bears are going to, find enough food there. But if you're smelling donuts from 2 miles away, or somebody's leftover scraps in their trash, that is a lot higher calories. So these animals are coming out of the woods to find, a better source of food, or at least they think so. And a lot of times I just tell people, the best way to keep a bear in the woods is to not feed them. A fed bear is a dead bear. And I kind of blame it on the kids too. I say, if you haven't eaten all of your dinner, then you fed the bears.
That's a good way.
Don't throw it away.
Yeah, exactly. Eat all your food. Do you want the Mr. Bear to come? Yeah, I like that.
But they're not aggressive either. So I don't want people to think they have to be fearful of bears. So please just give them their space. Don't attract them to your yard or to your home, and we should all be fine.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that too, because I think a lot of times one thing's about movies, I know that's my pet peeve, like movies like Jaws, and I think that made everybody afraid of sharks, one of the top things to be afraid of. So I like how you really want to educate people with bears, even snakes. That's another number one thing that people are afraid of. So what kind of tips do you give for people, and if they encounter a snake in their yard? Yeah,
now snakes is one of my favorite passions. I really like my reptiles and my amphibians. And we have 44 kinds of snakes in Florida. Only 6 of them are venomous, and only 4 of them occur in our area. So as long as you learn what those 6 snakes are, then you'll be fine. I recommend getting 6 pictures of each of the 6 snakes and putting them on your refrigerator for 6 months. And by then, everybody's going to understand, they're going to remember, and it's going to work out. As long as you are not standing on them or poking at them, there's no reason for them to bite you. So please respect their space, and welcome to Florida.
Exactly. So the number one thing, basically, just leave them alone, because that's mainly where all the people get bit, is actually when they go.
Yeah, the CDC or health departments will tell you that the majority of the people who are being bitten are men between the ages of 16 and 24, and there's usually a 6-pack or a keg involved.
Okay. And also, you say you do birthday parties?
I do. I can come as just the entertainment for a 1-hour presentation. I bring 7 small exotic animals, things that I have adopted from people who didn't want them anymore. And I teach about the natural history and where I got them from and whether they make a good pet or not. I also do a hostess package where I bring the cake and the decorations and party games and prizes.
Wow, that sounds exciting. I think I'm going to call you for my next birthday coming up. That'd be fun to do.
And I do older folks
you
too.
do? Oh, cool.
No, elderly homes as well. I've done some edutainment for them too.
Oh, cool. You know, I think that our area needs that, more education, especially with animals. And like you said, the area we live in, it's, very interesting and vast and what wild animals we have. And I know we'll get more into pets. You want to talk a little bit about pets? I know we'll talk about in the next segment as well, what makes a good pet and what doesn't. But you want to talk briefly about that?
Well, you mentioned our area and how many animals we have. We are one of the top biodiverse areas in the world here in Northwest Florida. So we have got a very large number of animals in such a small space, plants and animals, the flora and the fauna. So we do live in a gem of a place. So I do hope that people learn and respect everything that lives here.
Wow, I didn't even know it was like that vast. Like I know we have a lot of critters, and some of them, especially when it comes to insects and stuff like that, to me, it looks like an alien. And I'm like, what is this creature? But it's really interesting. It makes sense, why there's so many. And I actually live near a creek. My house is actually right in front of a creek, and we actually fenced it in because we actually found a lot of wildlife that came into our yard. We bobcats, foxes and stuff like that. So people that do have that creeks or lakes or whatever, what tips do you have if they have small children and they happen to be near, if they see a bobcat or foxes, what would you tell?
Well, to definitely be aware, learn about them first, and also not to be so fearful. Now, we do have times where there could be an animal who might be rabid. So, and there's only a few of our types of animals that could be. So learn a little bit about what that appears like a fox during the day. Your fence, just a chain link fence might not keep out some of the critters that you aren't welcoming, but maybe you could get some other kind of fabric to go into the fence. So we've got to beat the animals at their game. We need to be just as smart or smarter than them to keep them out of our space if we aren't inviting them. And wildlife feeders, you can't always be picky on which wildlife you're feeding. When you attract one kind of animal, you're going to be inviting others.
Probably one is raccoons, I guess, because they seem to be, we've had them in our yard. We've actually had a family of, we heard, and it sounded like birds, and the guy who was coming in, he was just like, there's probably raccoons. So then I actually climbed up, and we actually prevented it. It was like in a space we had, and then I heard it, and I leaned over, and they were actually really adorable. I saw them, I was like, they were cute. But they're little baby raccoons, and then he's like, look and see if the mom, and the mom's there, and he's like, back up. So, but we put a screen to prevent it, and so we didn't have it anymore.
Yeah.
But like you said, do something that's preventative.
Yeah, and a lot of people complain about bats in their dwellings, and some of the little birds like the purple martins or the chimney swift. Sometimes these animals get into small spaces of our house, and one way to keep them out is as soon as they leave to put something over the hole. So sometimes we just got to be really investigative and find those holes they're getting in. While they're out, cover those holes and hope they go find somewhere else natural to go. But one thing that a lot of these animals are looking for are cavities. We cut down a lot of dead trees, so we have a lot of wildlife that needs dead trees. They can make homes in them. So when we take away that opportunity, they'll find another way. So our houses and the holes that we might have are going to be the next accessible area to nest in.
I didn't really think about even dead, like we personally may not like the look of a dead tree, but we don't really think that was somebody's animal's family.
There's life in dead trees.
Wow. Well, for our, before we go on a break, and I'm looking at this beautiful bird, and I know everybody, our viewers are really excited to start getting to learning about animals. Could we talk about this before our first break?
Yep. This is my buddy Kiwi, and Kiwi is called the Galah cockatoo.
Galah.
And he's one of the smaller cockatoos that you can get for pets, and they do make good pets. It's just that it's at least a 60-year commitment. So a lot of people aren't always thinking about how long they're going to be with their pets or where they're going to be in 60 years. So sure, he can make a good pet, and they can be talkers, but all this guy says is, psst. And he loves strangers.
Aw, well, he is beautiful. And thank you guys for watching Insight, and we're gonna have some more, and she has some cool critters that I cannot wait to go over and learning about it and to hold them. So be sure to stay tuned and watch us here on Insight.
Dudes, what would happen if this guy played a bully and this one played the new kid? Bullying is unpredictable, and depending on how you react, you never know what kind of result you'll get.
New kids should just calmly walk away, find an adult or teacher, and speak up.
Together, we can all stop bullying. Speak up.
Go to stopbullying.speakup.com to find out more.
This PSA brought to you in part by the Cox Southeast Region Diversity Council and Cox Communications.
When 10,000 students need to be online at the same time, Cox Business is there. When the big game relies on an even bigger communications network, we're there. And when students need the same tools and opportunities no matter where they are, we're there. With a $16 billion network and ability to route 50 million calls a day, Cox Business powers education. We're there for your business, too.
Underneath everything we are all people. And when we reach out a hand to one, we can influence the condition of all. That's what it means to live united.
Hi, we're back here on Insight, and today we're talking about animals with Nonie, with Nonies Ark. And in case you weren't here and missed the first segment, she talks a little bit about what she does in the community and how she offers education to children all the way up to adults. And we also had a little friend, we had a bird, and now we replaced the bird with everyone's favorite animal, a snake. So let's hear what Nonie has to say about the snake.
All right, are you guys ready for some edutainment?
Yes, I'm ready.
So these are my friends here. They're very used to my critters, and they do some volunteering for me as well. And this is my friend Curly. And Curly is a ball python, not a bald python, right? And it's a ball python because when they get scared, they roll up into a ball. And so when they roll up into a ball, when they're in Africa, which is where she's from, then they might look like they are hard to swallow. She might be eaten by somebody like a lion. Now, if a lion sees her just stretched out, look at this pattern. This looks like a bunch of baby what? Say it louder.
Cobra.
Yeah. So these patterns here, they are mimicking cobras. So do you see some perfect ones on this side? Yeah. So if a lion sees this, then hopefully they will back off. Do you think that would be dangerous for the lion? Yeah. So this is not a dangerous snake for us, though. This one actually does make a good pet. Lots of people get snakes for pets, and not all of them make the best pet. And this is the only python that I suggest for a pet. These guys only get to be about 5.5 foot long at max. There are 2 other pythons that people buy for pets that get to be as long as a school bus. Does that make a good pet? No. So this one is a lot easier to manage, but it is still going to live until you're about 30 years old.
Oh, wow.
Well, until she is, which means you might have her until you have children. So these other 2 pythons, people are getting them, and if they don't like them anymore, they can't afford to feed them, or they get too big, they've been letting them go. So in South Florida, where we have a nice tropical environment, like down in the Everglades, then those snakes are actually getting big enough to eat our endangered species. There was a video that went around a little while ago about one eating a crocodile. So here our extra tax dollars are paying to save these endangered species, and people's pets are eating them. So this is one of the things that I teach with somebody like Curly.
So you're saying that we were talking about, what makes a good pet, and you said these make a good pet. For children, like what age do you think, a ball python would be good?
It totally depends on the kid and the parents, but I'd say about a 7 or an 8-year-old would be a good start. And because at that age, they might actually, really love on the animal and have a little more need in taking care of it in the future. They feel a little more connected than like if a teenager were to get it. There's so much going on with many teenagers.
Yes, that's true. Okay, that's really interesting.
Maybe if they start young.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and hold on to this one. You know what? I know you guys who are watching us right now, you can actually feel the snake, but I think what probably a lot of people think is that it's slimy, and it's not. It's like you can feel, it's like muscular, and it feels really nice.
And they have bones.
Yeah. So,
lots of people don't think they have bones. So it's a reptile, so reptiles are not slimy. It is smooth and slick, but not slimy. Yeah.
Love that. All right. Well, I'll just drop this off. We're ready for our next one? Got it.
So sometimes people get pets from pet stores, and sometimes they steal them from the wild.
Oh, wow.
This is Jill, and Jill is called a box turtle. Now, she's not a boxing turtle, right, guys? So instead, when she's scared, she's supposed to close up like a box. So if her head goes in and her arms go in, then hopefully the other animals who try eating her might not be able to get inside. So this is what she does to protect herself. But this lady does not get scared.
I see that.
She was a small wild turtle, and someone picked her up. They kept her as a pet for 6 years. After 6 years of being fed dog food, she has been spoiled to eat dog food. But she is going to be eating a little bit of everything in the wild. That would make her an omnivore. So she does eat plants and animals. Yum.
And what are you feeding?
This is a mealworm.
Okay.
It's not really a worm though, because it's crawling around using
Legs.
So it has 6 legs. So I think you call this a dogapillar, right? Just kidding. It's a caterpillar, right? This is supposed to grow up to become a beetle. But is it going to grow up to become a beetle?
No.
Nope. Do you know what it's going to become next?
Nope.
Poop.
And first it's the turtle's food.
Yeah, so then she's going to digest it, yes. Also, Valerie, if you hear me, this is how I like to teach. I like to ask questions and get answers from the kids instead of just feeding them all of the answers.
Well, that's
And
good.
you
That's how
played
kids
along
are.
well, too.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I'm engaged and it's fun. So, yeah, I did play along. I was like, oh, this is fun. I like how you teach the kids, and I think they process it better.
Right. Yep. And not what to teach, or not what to think, but how to think. Yeah. So now Jill is approximately 10 years oldish. And how old do you think she's going to live to be? She can live over 100.
Really?
The oldest box turtle I've ever heard of was 124. So you're going to have that turtle until you have or if not great-grandchildren. So imagine going to an elderly home. You think they're going to let you bring your turtle with you? Not many of them. So this is a lifetime investment, these turtles. There are some turtles that can make good pets, but definitely not a wild turtle. I like to ask, did Nemo like being stolen from the wild? No. So please leave the wild animals in the wild. Yeah. So that's Jill, and this is one of our box turtles. Now, her favorite habitat is a swamp.
Oh, really?
Welcome to Florida.
Yeah. So I know my grandma did a lot of fishing, and she liked doing it, and so I know one of the things that she used to catch, but on accident, was some of the turtles on the end. So what would you say for people who do go fishing, and then instead of seeing a fish on the end of the hook, they see a turtle? Do you just throw it back, or I mean, is that fine?
Depends on where the hook went. And I'm assuming most of the fishermen should know how to remove the hook, at least from a fish. Honestly, the face of the turtle isn't probably a whole lot different than the fish. So I haven't encountered that myself, so I'm hoping the fishermen would know how to remove that hook. So I guess I don't have a good answer for that one. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's fine.
But those would be our water turtles. And speaking of some of those pet turtles or pet animals that people have let go, our lakes and ponds and rivers are being taken over by the red-eared sliders that come from the Mississippi Delta or the tourist shop. So these people have brought these turtles home and brought them and kept them for pets for all these years, and when they don't want them anymore, they've let them go all over the world. So it's one of the highest distributed exotic pets around the world and been released. Yeah.
And where are they? They're mainly located, though. They're originally
naturally.
Naturally, it was in Mississippi?
Delta.
Oh, the Delta. Oh.
Yep, into the Mississippi River and swamps, the red-eared sliders. So they do not belong to Florida.
Oh, wow.
So there are turtles that do make good pets. There's smaller ones, the mud and musk turtles, but you can't always find someone who might be breeding them and selling them. So at least if we can do a little bit of research together, I can help you find the proper pet that will last longer for your family.
And then how often, I know we brought, 2 reptiles, how often do you feed reptiles? Is it like as often as people?
Well, a lot of people might want to feed like every Tuesday, but for my snakes, I like to see them active. I want to see them moving around as if they were hunting in the wild. So I'll wait for my snakes to move a few days before I feed them. It's approximately every 9 to 12 days or so, so not necessarily every week. Now, somebody like this turtle, it depends on the time of year. So in the winter, these guys are going to hibernate, and so I will let them, cool off a little bit. Maybe not completely, since they're on display too. But I do have some animals that I will put them away and let them do their hibernating thing.
Oh, wow. So if they only eat like once a week or 9 to 10 days or whatever, does that mean they also only poop that like 9 to 10 days or whatever?
Right. Yeah. No, actually, with my snakes, I think they probably only poop about once a month. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah. It depends on.
Makes it a little easier to clean. And
yeah,
stuff.
that is one nice thing about a snake. Now, a ferret, they poop 5 times a day.
Yeah. Wow. So probably beginner pets, you would probably recommend like a reptile, probably.
Some of them, for some people, sure. One of my favorite pets to start with are guinea pigs.
Oh, really?
I like their size, especially for somebody little like this, is that a guinea pig isn't going, it's going to be something they can actually hold on to. And sure, every animal can bite. It just depends on what you're doing to them. But also it lives a good 13 years, the guinea pigs do.
Oh, okay.
So that is one thing you have to consider with your animals, is how long is it going to be around. Now, rats, they make good pets too, and very smart, but they don't quite live as long. So if you do know you're going to be moving a lot in your life, find out what those animals are that are going to live in your family's lifespan of, fun.
Oh, okay.
But speaking of fuzzies, I've got one. So
Oh, cool.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
Aww. Everybody say aww. This is Walter, and Walter is called a chinchilla.
Yeah.
And he belongs on top of a very tall mountain. And his mountains, they are in South America. And in South America, this guy is going to be up on the Andes Mountains. And how do you think it feels on the top of the Andes Mountains? Is it cold or is it hot? Nah, it's cold up there. So the top of those mountains are very cold. So these guys do have a nice thick fur coat, and that's going to help keep them warm. And there are people who live in his mountains with him as well, and they want to keep warm too. So for thousands of years, people have used chinchillas to make fur coats. Well, about 100 years ago, the rest of the people around the world saw how beautiful those coats were, and then everybody wanted one. And they sent hunters to hunt for them, and they hunted them until there were no more. So these guys actually were extinct for a little while. And so now it is an endangered species. Yeah. So you can get them for pets, because we did use them in chinchilla farms, and we used them as chinchilla pets, and they had them in zoos. So there was a breeding program that helped bring the chinchillas back. So you can keep one for a pet, but it doesn't always make the best pet for everybody.
Right.
The messiest part about them is their dust. These guys take a dry dust bath, and when they come out of that dust bath, they'll shake and rattle it all over the room. But they do need a very large cage and air conditioning. These guys cannot get hot.
Well, I can see all that fur, yeah.
Yep, you're definitely not keeping this guy outside. So that's another thing to consider, especially for me with all these critters, is I need to make sure that my air conditioning is always going to be on, right?
Right.
And if you do your hands a little bit flatter, that'll give him a flatter space to
like
sit
that?
on. Yeah. And so naturally he's going to be hopping around in all the rocks, and he'll hide in the rocks. And you see these long whiskers. These whiskers actually help him, kind of like bumpers on a car, helps him get inside the rocks and know if it's too tight of a space or not.
Oh, really?
You're tickling him. And those whiskers are always moving. That's always just smelling and always moving. He's got really big ears and really big eyes. So can you tell me, when is he supposed to be sleeping? How about during the day? Yeah. So then he would be awake at night, which makes him
Nocturnal.
Yes, nocturnal. So that's another thing about a pet. Do you want something rolling in a wheel and jumping and making noise all night long in your bedroom?
Yeah.
Always.
Oh, that's so cute. You know what? I loved learning about the animals. I learned something new even when we talked, a little bit about what we're going to do on the show. I learned some more, and I remembered you came out years ago, and I remember you spoke with children. So I really appreciate you being on the show. And sadly, our time is actually up. And, I wish we had another, section, so we had so much more. But what do you want to tell our viewers, a little bit more information on how they can contact you?
Okay. I've been doing this for 17 years next month. So you probably remember me from when you were little too. I hear that a lot. And so a lot of my kids I've been edutaining all these years. They're all growing up and they're having kids of their own now. So I'll be coming to those parties. And so just please do your research before buying your pets and take care of them. Learn about them. And you're not always going to have easy access to their needs. So you may have to go a little bit out of your comfort zone to figure out what's best for your pets.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you guys. Y'all did an excellent job.
Thanks, guys.
And for this last minute, I actually have a little thing to share with you guys. I'm just going to read this off. And this is information about a summer camp that is coming up. Enrollment is now open for the Youth Village 2014 summer camp. And activities include field trips, drama, theater workshops, end-of-summer production for the community, fun hands-on interactive basic Spanish lessons, age-appropriate reading circles, fitness and nutrition workshops, the Cub House, which those are for children ages 5 and 6, and introducing a new program that will be included in this summer camp, which is called Domatics. And it's a parent choice games, has new innovative games, and it's called Domatics. And the object of Domatics is to teach kids the principles of addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division in a fun game environment. It is designed to help children learn basic arithmetic calculations. And if you want to have more information on this, be sure to contact Youth Village at 582-0549. And I want to thank you for watching us here on Insight.